Hey, nobody. Hey, you guys. Hey, y'all. I'm just going to act like I'm her. Y'all. I am sorry I'm late. I'm having kind of doing stuff issues. I had to print out a document for my husband. We're trying to run to the post office and the lawyers in a few minutes. So this won't be the world's longest live stream. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, nobody. So there's a lot of things to talk about. So I'm going to see how much I can squeeze through before I have to go. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for Pathos, a column called No Longer Quivering. Now I'm living in Costa Rica and living my best life now, even though I'm watching the fundamentalist BS from afar. Do the YouTube things, hit like, subscribe, click the bell notifications. These are my opinions, my considered opinions. Don't bully anybody. Don't be rude. Don't be nasty. Even though some of us like to be nasty women sometimes, according to the definition of nasty women by a certain political leader. Okay. First, I have to do a little housekeeping stuff. I have done a video I'm going to put out here very shortly about how to make plarn. What is plarn? Plarn is plastic yarn you make out of plastic shopping bags, like this little bag that I have clothespins in. I made that out of plarn because I couldn't find one I liked. This bigger shopping bag is made entirely out of grocery bags, plastic bags. I'd saved up for 2 years to get enough colors to do this one, because you don't always get colored. You mostly get white ones, which is why you get a lot that are like this. They're white, that are striped through with different colors when you come in. So be on the lookout for that. If you'd like to see more arts and crafts things, let me know. And I could, oh, thank you so much, Jackie. Thanks, Sarah. Jackie, that goes to my yarn fund. I have to buy yarn again next time I go back. I was going to say, one of my next ones might deal with this. Probably say, what does a t-shirt have to do with it? Well, look at this t-shirt. It's old. It's stretched out at the top. I think I may even have a couple places were starting to rip. I discovered, oh, thank you, Jackie. I discovered today I have a ton of old janky clothing that I'm going to, like t-shirts, that I'm going to just cut up and do the same thing with. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to make some rugs. So I'm going to show you guys that process when I get around to it, when I start actually cutting and crocheting. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have been watching what's been going on with Britney Spears. One of my daughters PM'd me and said, hey, did you see Britney Spears' newest video? And I was like, no. Groceries here do not use plastic bags. People expect to bring bags or purchase fiber bags at the store. Here, a lot of places have got that way. So I'm having a hard time getting plarn. You know where I get the majority of my best plarn? When I go to the States. I save my bags from that. So back to Britney. Britney has said some crazy, well, I'm not going to say crazy, because we know Britney's not crazy. Britney was gaslit by her family for many years and supposedly had a breakdown, and then was under conservatorship for years and years and years. I always felt bad for her. I'm from Louisiana, same as her, even from the same part of Louisiana. She grew up in Kentwood, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Ponchatoula, Hammond, Louisiana area, where my family is originally from. You got Kentwood, you got Amite, which is the parish head, their head town. And then you got Ponchatoula, Hammond, those things. And then Bayou Manchac, where I had a lot of other relatives living. And I remember from the time Britney was small, a kid, that her family really just worked her like she was a mule, like she was their golden ticket. And that always bothered me. Same as it bothers me with the Duggar family putting all their kids on public display in their TV show at such early ages. It's just something about that strikes me wrong. I can't brag that I've been the world's best mother because clearly I have failed as other people fail. And we fail in big and small ways every day. And that's okay. We just pick ourselves up and we try again the next day. Um, so that's kind of where we are with Britney. That girl could never catch a break from her family. They should have loved her, not used her. Exactly, Cheryl. Exactly. Thanks, YouTube. What happened? Did you not get knocked off? Hair. Um, Britney, I had to laugh when she exploded with "Baby Hit Me One More Time," which I actually love that song. It's one of those crazy pop songs you find yourself singing. Oh, baby, baby, And I felt sorry for her from day one. And I had to laugh one time when I was in Louisiana, right after she had her big break. In Baton Rouge, near the Bon Marché Mall, they had a huge sign that said, "Congratulations, Britney, the pride of Louisiana." Well, some wag had gotten up there with a spray can and had erased the P, so it said "the right of Louisiana." And that's kind of how a lot of people viewed her, as some kind of sleazy, slimy SLUT, even though she was just literally a child and she wasn't making decisions on what materials she was going to cover. It was the adults around her that were hypersexualizing her and picking all the uh, over the top crazy sexuality. It was the family, it was the producers. And if there's one thing I know about life, production companies, Hollywood, entertainment will exploit the quote bad girl image for the girl in the like 13 up category. And it's kind of sick and sleazy. It's kind of like media pedos, almost like that, because it's just so strange. And you're looking at it going, that cannot be healthy for a 15, 16-year-old girl to be being put to being be put to be the entire family support and being pushed into this adult world, because most of us are not ready for any type of sexuality until we're closer to our 18th birthday. There are exceptions. There's some people that do, and a lot of women don't get a choice. They're pushed into that at an early age by family members, by friends, by the media. And personally, I think that kind of sucks, especially some of the things that have taken place since the 2000s. Early 2000s were a sexualization of teenage girls, a fetish sort of thing. So there was that. This week, her ex, Kevin Federline, went on Australia 60 Minutes and talks to mad SHIT about Britney. And he had his 16-year-old son, Jaden, with him. Well, it was just a sad, sad thing. Jaden obviously feels like he doesn't have a relationship, a good one, with his mother. And I feel really bad for him that he was put in the spot to go on international TV and say that. Because if there's nothing I know about interpersonal relationships between one's children and a parent, sometimes that goes haywire. And sometimes it's not even, oh, thank you, Shelley. Sometimes it's not even the fault of either the parent or the child. Sometimes it's just chalk and cheese, oil and water. You're going to knock heads. And that goes on too. I don't think he said anything bad, really. He didn't bash her, in my opinion. Shelley, I don't think that poor child bashed her, in my opinion, either. I didn't see the Kevin Federline bit, but I'm always going to look at him with a side eye after seeing his actions when he married Britney and all kinds of things. It is heartbreaking what young stars are put through. Stage parents seem to forget that their place. They forget that they're children, and children that need space, time, that don't need to be. They forget that. They put that aside. And so Brittany gave she didn't really give an interview. She did like a voice message for Jaden. And it's a heartbreaking message because she's trying to reach out to him, but she's also saying, hey, you treat me like an open wallet. So what am I supposed to do? But the most surprising part to me, and I didn't listen to the other ranting thing she apparently posted that my daughter and everybody else listens to, it says, is this. Honestly, my dad needs to be in jail for the rest of his life. But like I said, God would not allow that to happen to me. I don't believe in God because of the way my family and my children have treated me. I don't believe in God anymore. I'm an atheist, y'all. That just kind of blows my mind because I know she was raised like in a heartbreaking kind of semi-Baptist, semi-AOG, semi just really non-denominational way. And first of all, people will fight about what an atheist is or isn't so many times, and I don't know where she lines up on that. Personally, I think an atheist is anyone that says they have no belief in God. I've gone through times where I've been an atheist. I have gone through times when I've been an agnostic. I've gone through times when I've been a hardcore believer. And it's just hard, particularly if you mix your family in with that and your family is saying those things. And I have nothing but sympathy for her to even say that because of what I've been through with my church family when I left my church family. You know, fundamentalist, evangelical, charismatic Christians can be some of the most mean, cold people on the planet. As an atheist, it breaks my heart for her to feel that way. Absolutely nobody. It's just a heartbreaking situation all the way around because you can see how she was used by the family and by Kevin Federline and others. She was just used. Everybody treats her like she's a cash cow. So I'm extremely happy for Britney that she now has some kind of control back of her life because she needed that very badly. So how does that tie in with the Fundy Town stuff I want to talk about today? I want to talk about this thing, this word thing, because words have power. They have crazy power. And there have been just too many Christian fundamentalist types that have just said so many nasty things that have hurt so many nasty people. So many nasty people and they don't understand that they are still doing that. I want to talk specifically about, oh, Captain Caveman sent you here. Hey, Arctic Timberwolf. I'm fine. I'll tell you what the connection is. He and I both wrote for Pathos, and we both wrote in the non-religious sector. I wrote about quiverful and evangelical lunacy. So that's what this is all about. Britney has been kind of a victim of that because her family's been involved in that sort of thing too. But until Britney shares exactly what it is they did to piss her off and all that, and how she's walked away with spiritual abuse, I can only speculate. So I'm going to go with one of the guys that I've always wanted to talk about that I haven't yet. I'll talk about him just a little bit, and I'm going to do a deep dive soon. Michael Pearl. Hey, Arctic Timberwolf again. So Michael Pearl is this guy who he did run No Greater Joy Ministries. He is the guy that promoted beating your children, beating them to make them mind. And I mean, hey, Tracy, and some crazy things he's done to make them mind. He wrote a book called To Train Up a Child, which was a horrifying manual. It was the earliest book I read when I joined the Quiverful Church that I was part of, because someone gave it to me because my 4-year-old used to cling to me like glue. Her and I were foxhole buddies because what we'd been through with her health. And I was told that was wrong, that I was not helping her at all. I was enabling her to stay weak and sick by doing that. I don't see it. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't see it. I don't think so. But I got that book and I read through it and was like, holy cow, they want me to beat my child that has platelet problems? Hell no. And I tossed it. I put it in the trash. Now I run across one of the Pearl's books in a bookstore, a secondhand store, or like Goodwill or a church library, I burn it. I don't even leave any paper for anybody to possibly even see what was going on. So Michael Pearl had a stroke about 10 years ago, and his wife has been desperately trying to shore up their ministry, No Greater Joy Ministries, including taking him for some Looney Tunes kind of stem cell transplants. And stem cell transplants work for a lot of things. They don't work for stroke. I'm just going to throw that out there right there. She wrote a book about neuroplasticity of the brain, Debbie did, that is just a hot freaking mess. I'm going to review that one day soon here because I reviewed it for NLQ, and it was just, it was a whole lot. So Michael's no longer writing for anything to do with No Greater Joy Ministry. And she is mentioning him. His words here, her words here, are just so typical of the abuse and the spiritual abuse that goes on in these places, including, like I said, I'm pretty sure that Britney Spears lives with this kind of crap too. She was talking, Debbie Pearl wrote a piece where she was talking about a friend of hers that had oodles and oodles and oodles of kids. Okay. This woman had like, I don't know. How many kids did it say she had in the piece? I'm looking right now. She had some crazy amount of children. And they saw her with her two youngest out and about. And the two youngest were demanding ice cream. So Debbie Pearl turned this into a long, let's shame this woman. This woman, I think they named her Brenda. Okay, Brenda. And started shaming her for her two kids wanting ice cream while she was talking to Debbie and Mike. So I got to read some pieces and talk about it. While she was purse digging, Mike, being his usual frank self, said, "What is that disgusting stink?" He knew quite well what the foul odor was. It was sewage emanating from the almost 4-year-old boy with the droopy breeches. Frowning, Big Papa looked down from his large 6'5" frame. No way he's that tall. At the little kid. "Boy, don't tell me a kid old enough to shoot a gun is still dumping in his pants." So there's a lot about that I don't like. Kids being shamed for not being toilet trained. Kids being told if you're old enough to shoot a gun, you should be able to use a toilet. Ugh. Why would you let your child use a gun until they were at least in their teens? I just don't get it. I don't get it. So this is typical Pearl writing. It always involves putting somebody else down, saying nasty things about them and to them. Let's continue on. The boy frowned as he grabbed the $5 bill from his peevish sister and waddled as fast as his fat legs and heavy, dirty diaper could take him up the steps and into the store. So she's talking about the mother, Brenda, started fighting with Michael Pearl and said, "Don't you ever shame my son. You mind your own business." Which is a reasonable response. You really don't want anybody else sounding off on your kid at all. Michael Pearl said, "If you'd read my book," Debbie said, sorry, "if you read my book, Created to Be a Healthy, you will know the 3 types of people created in God's 3-part image: Father, kingly son, priestly and steady son, and Holy Spirit, visionary son." Well, here's the problem with this analogy that she's making is that those types of authority type personalities only apply to men, which is wrong in and of itself. And she's broken down what each one of those guys means. And It's always something to put women down and negative and just horrible. So she's bringing this up. And Michael told her, that half grown kid dumping in his pants doesn't need any help from me. He has clearly already shamed himself. And do you think that this nose on my face is not my business? What happened to you, Brenda? I watch you when you raise 5 good, self-disciplined, self-restrained, self-respecting kids. And now these last 2 kids are fat whiners, and your 4-year-old is still dumping in his pants. Typical Pearl. Typical. So after he said those things, she told him that she was practicing gentle parenting with the last 2, which I don't have a problem with. You probably should be doing that if you're raising kids, because raising your kids in an atmosphere of fear is just going to teach them to be deceptive. All the rules and so judgmental. Yes. So he kept haranguing her and saying, I know all about that new nonsense, and just goes against what God says in scripture and against common sense parenting. How can you possibly fall for that and expect God to bless your family? And he goes on and on and on and on. I don't buy this happening recently, like Debbie has said. Mike has had a series of strokes. I know they didn't even think he'd make it there for a while. That was harsh to say about kids. That's harsh to say to any mother, even if she didn't have kids, or if a woman didn't have kids and somebody was haranguing her with that crap. It's just wrong. It's wrong. So they all started saying that she and Michael walked away saying that her kids, because she wasn't beating them and self-disciplining them, she was robbing them of the ability to do self-regulation that leads to executive function. So Debbie then goes on to explain her book, Neuroplasticity, where she talks about the same thing. Neuroplasticity is the thing. It is a real thing. And I know a little bit about that because I've had 2 strokes. One of them was a thalamic stroke. And I have done all of the things I have to do to be walking, talking, and doing everything. He was standing deep in his, yeah. That's true, Cheryl. So she goes on to push and promote her book. She doesn't mention anything about Mike and his strokes or if he's come back at all. And then he went and yelled this at Brenda. You know that I know that grown daughter of yours has bitterness due to your own rebellion towards your husband in the early years of your marriage. He throws that out at her. So they're really blaming her for being Beelzebub in probably a frumpy jumper like I used to wear all the time, which is so incredibly wrong. So she starts talking more and more about the neuroplasticity and says she's not brain grooving her kids right. Not at all. Says, what is sad is Brenda even knew that everyone thinks their kids are brats or younger kids. Her grown siblings told us there was often a fight at home due to the 2 youngest kids being lazy and not expected to do any chores, plus they're disobedient, and even on occasion really, really mean. They were treated to loving instruction rather than overdue spankings. So this carries on and on and on, and she keeps talking about neuroplasticity and how you are learning self-restraint. Well, here's what I want to throw out about the pearls. The pearls haven't exactly had the most successful children. They only have 4, which is odd because they talk the whole quiverful that God open and close your uterus, don't use birth control, don't have an abortion thing. Yet they only have 4. I've found that a lot of these quiverful instructors don't have huge families. They just have small families. And I consider it a full small family and a quiverful family because most of the ones I know were 9 or 10 kids minimum. 9 or 10 kids. And so it's very easy to throw rocks at someone you don't really know what's going on in their house and blame them for everything. Arctic Timberwolf. I had a stroke back in 2005, and I was 100% of the whole left side of my body and my speech for about 8 to 12 hours. And I was pretty scared because I was driving at the time. Oh my goodness, Arctic Timberwolf. I had a similar thing. I had a thalamic stroke. It happened to me during the night. I got up the next morning, and the left side of my body, I had almost no feeling in it. And I had a few little issues with speech and thinking, but I've come pretty far back, even though I still have balance issues and I don't have feeling in my left side. My brain has rewired itself through using Debbie's neuroplasticity to deal with these things. And I'm going to continue to do physical therapy type things. I have a couple physical therapists that I follow on YouTube that have excellent exercise videos and things about regaining function. So this was just a commercial of hers to sell more neuroplasticity books and more to train up a child books. She keeps mentioning her book, Created to be a Helpmeet. So it's an odd way to advertise your books by using your own husband's hateful words. But I don't think any of that is, I think that she made this up for so many reasons. But at the same time, I just want to point out that this is the thing that drives people away from church, the way their family acts to them. When you have whole ministries that are based around bashing people or abusing them. And for a long time, I've been wanting to talk also about the words of James Dobson. And I'm not going to call him Dr. James Dobson because I don't think he's a doctor. I think that's a made up title for him based on some sort of substandard church affiliated college. So Dobson has this long thing in his book on child rearing where he talks about, and he has no children. He's not married, never been married, about gaining control over his poor little Dobson. He had a little dog. And he talked about the dog being rebellious and him having to beat the tar out of the dog and make the dog behave. These guys in Quiverful, these Christian cultural enforcers, they have no idea how abusive they come off to the rest of us. They come off as abusive as anything you could imagine. And these are the kind of people that Britney Spears' family were listening to when they were raising her, even though they were not beating her, I'm pretty sure, because who would abuse, physically, openly abuse the goose that was laying golden eggs? Nobody would do that. But this is the kind of thoughts in a family that will run off children, that will assure you that you have no relationship with your adult children. Not that having a relationship with your adult children is necessarily a right. I mean, they can decide they want to cut you off, and they do sometimes from time to time. I know many families like that, and none of that is ever granted to us. And the way that these people behave, it pretty much kills it. Unless the child is making money off you or something like that, then they tend to stick around a little bit longer. But it just breaks my heart for Britney because I know that the thought processes that have gone into what's happened to her to make her claim to be an atheist. I know because I've been there and done that, gotten the tattoo, dealt with a child that I drug through that who now resents me for it, and rightly so, I think, in some ways. Boys are different too. They always want unconditional mama. I feel for her boys. I feel for them too. I feel for, hey, Grace Peter, but you're not too late. We're here. But I feel for boys too because they've been robbed of the kind of relationship with their mother that they want. They've been robbed of that by their father, by the family members, the other family members, Britney's mother, Britney's family, her father, especially her father, who was acting as a legal guardian for her and working her like she was a golden goose in Vegas there for a long time. When she had her custodial status overturned and got back control of her own life, she had been in the process of rehearsing for another Vegas gig, another long, long, long Vegas gig, and didn't really want to do it again from everything I've read. So I'm happy for Britney. I'm proud of her that she is taking this initiative. She's not listening to a family any longer who is espousing the kind of things I just talked about, or espousing those kind of belief systems and saying, yes, you got to control your children. You have to do this. You have to do that. And we can expect her to not do everything right and to fly upside down, fly sideways, whatever. It takes time to learn how to handle your own stuff. It just does. And some of us never always, well, some of us never, well, some of us sometimes accomplish it, handling our stuff. All of us screw up now and then. Brittany came from a very dysfunctional family. Yep. Alcoholics. Yes. But her prancing around almost nude daily on Instagram is not doing any favors. Shelly, that is true. But do you hear me say that she's flying upside down and sideways and stuff? That is all that is about. She was trained to do that from the time she was little. That's all she knows. So that's why we've seen her in the past doing crap like walking around in a miniskirt with no shoes on, going to a gas station bathroom. I've noticed that the evangelical men need to get power from beating others down, not at all Christ-like. It draws them in so they can treat others badly and is acceptable. Absolutely, Cheryl. That's what. And it's all because of that. I'm not surprised it was her own father that had custody of her, because that also fits with evangelical Christianity. The father runs everything. The father is the mob boss. Just look at the words of one Von Ullman, who believes that the father is the one that runs everything and everybody lines up beneath him. Even if it's a married son, a married daughter, they still have to bow down to the family patriarch, which is some BS. That type of patriarchy just needs to die. It needs to die in a merciful death and soon, because it's taking victims. And you can't tell me that Britney doesn't have significant spiritual abuse for having gone through her family, what her family is like. I just know it without being able to prove it. As long as Britney doesn't start a YouTube channel going after the Duggars and allegedly misappropriating funds from a mommy group. Oh, Java man, you're talking about that troll. Did you see that she's now at number 6 on the Grifties? Those of you who don't know what the Grifties are, thegrifties.com. It's a wonderful website where they're taking nominations and votes for the worst person on the internet who grifts other people. And their explanation for grifting is not just money. It's grifting for attention, grifting for asspats, grifting to be taken seriously, lying and doing, cheating, all these crazy ass things that she does. I think the father runs everything beyond mere evangelical Christian. Yes. Why wasn't a neutral party chosen for a conservator? I don't know, Shelley. I've thought about that. They should. The courts should have appointed. The courts should have appointed it. Okay. For children, they appoint a guardian ad litem, which is somebody who has no relationship to the child or the parent, who's usually involved with social work or a lawyer or something like that, who has some knowledge in this sphere. They appoint that person to be the guardian ad litem, and all they do is represent the best interests of the child. I think with conservatorships, they need to start doing that too. It needs to happen, because putting millions of dollars in the hands of a relative is just a recipe for disaster. A recipe for disaster indeed. I believe KJ will be proud of it because she's just sick like that. T King, I believe so too. I think she'll be happy that she won the Grifties. And we have seen suddenly Molly go lightly pop up in the Grifties. Dollars to Donuts, that's either her or one of her little fans. So the grifties.com, they have this wonderful video. Watch the video. It'll explain exactly what a true grifter is and what the contest does and all of that. I watched it the other day. It was a good explanation. And then underneath, there's a whole long list of names you can vote for. You vote by clicking on the triangle. You can vote once an hour. Currently, she is above Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Anthony Fauci, and a lot of people and even Amber Heard. So she's above some people that are hated. At least no one nominated her for a Woody. Oh my gosh. No, 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 no. We don't even want to think about her name in conjunction with corn. I hate how YouTube forces us to use euphemisms to talk about serious things. Grifters, yeah, that movie was a really good one. So the grifties.com, that's where you could vote for this stuff, and it is downright funny, some of the people that have been chosen. Somebody recently also nominated Joel Osteen, and someone else nominated Tucker Carlson, who Tucker Carlson's got some serious action up there. So that's all I really have to say today. I just wanted to touch on the Britney thing because I know that she was raised in this kind of crazy evangelical non-denominational crap. And her turning up to be an atheist is so typical for the adult children of people that raise them in this nonsense, because it's indefensible after all this time. It just is. Eventually you wake up, you smell the coffee, or you double down. And when you double down, things go haywire, crazy haywire. Plus, she was a Mouseketeer. Good point, Java Man. Okay, I really am going to go this time. You guys have a wonderful day. Take care. And I'll see you guys. I'm going to try to upload the video on Florida when I get back from the lawyer.